Get it right. So this today is primarily a drawing lesson. We're going to paint, but the painting is going to take very little time. And of course, the reason is that as a beginning watercolorist, you have got to know how to draw. Most people don't. Even if they think they do, they don't really know how to draw. So I'm going to show you, we're going to really focus on drawing this coffee cup. I'm going to walk you through a process that's going to feel a little bit tedious. And so because of that, I have a little piece of watercolor here where I'm going to redraw, but we're going to start with regular, this is just computer paper, any sketch paper. We're going to start with just regular paper and a pencil. I do not want you to start with your watercolor. We'll go ahead and get that. And then we'll get talking. Poor Diana, she has to listen to these lessons more than once.
Come on, you go.
Um, so, and then let me pull up.
I wouldn't be here if I thought it
It was
was
boring.
easy.
Yeah.
I
We're
enjoy
like ambient
hanging
background noise. We're like elevator music for your classes.
out.
All right. Hi, Anik. Good to see you. Beautiful painting today. Congratulations. You are
Oh,
not
that
ab-
Thank
was
you.
so good, Danique.
you're
Thank
not
you. Thank
abandoning the painting. You're moving on. You're checking it off the list and going to the next one. Now paint. You know what
All right.
Lotta would say. Now paint 1,000 more. A
Yes,
thousand more paintings, and then you'll be good at this.
definitely.
All right, let me see here. So I want to actually call up, I sent this to you guys. We're going to do a review about how light works. And I wanted to show you this first. Hang on, I'm going to share it on Zoom so we can all see it. Okay. So if you can see this arrow coming from this direction is the direction that the light is coming from. It's kind of the top left, right? So top left, correct? Not
Yes.
top left. So this is the way the light's coming. This is exactly like a coffee cup. And what you need to know is that if the light is coming from this direction, the side that's closest on the left side will be lighter, and then things gradually get darker, and then there's that reflected edge there, right? There's a little reflected light edge. The top of the cup will be the top of the cup will be light, but look at what happens when we go inside the cup. Inside the cup, the shadow goes to the other side, goes to the left. Can you see that? And I want you to understand why. Because the light, this is a different side of the cup here than this side. So because it's a different side, light affects it differently. And really what's happening is the light's coming from the top. It's bouncing off here. And then it's making things a little bit from medium to dark here. So that's really key. Understanding how light works is really, really important. If you look at our source, you can see that that exact thing is happening. Can you guys see that? So light's coming from here. It's bouncing off here. It's light here. It gets kind of medium here. It gets dark here. There's a little light reflected edge. There are these extra shadows because there's a handle on the cup. So when you're looking at light, and so we're going to practice drawing this today, right? And we're going to use measurements. This is going to make you uncomfortable. You're not going to want to do it, but I'm going to make you do it. So I want you to follow along with me because if you learn how to do this, this is the only way to draw. The way, how do I explain it? Anyway, I'll stop the share and we'll get going and we'll talk about it. Does anybody have questions about that? Does that make sense? Is it logical? Excellent. Okay, so we're going to work with this guy. We're going to work with this guy so we can draw on it, muck it up. So I'm gonna show you how to kind of draw anything using proportional measurement. Okay. And part of this is is um and part of this is kind of visual. We're also using quarter and half points, but we aren't using any other numbers. You're not going to be using any other numbers. So the first line you want to draw when you're doing something like this on your paper is the top and the bottom of the cup, right? Now I could come over here and totally redo this cup. I don't really want to do that. I want to draw the cup maybe bigger, maybe smaller. Okay. So when I come to my paper, I'm just going to randomly decide how big or small. Doesn't really matter. I'm going to draw this line like this. It does not matter how long or short it is. I would recommend making it big so it's easier to get the numbers. And then the second thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to find my halfway point and my quarter points on this line. Now I could do that using a ruler. I don't like to do that. Number one, all my rulers have paint on them and I can't read them anymore. So, but there's another way to do this where you don't use numbers. I'm guessing here right now, I'm kind of putting a mark here where I think it's halfway. And then I'm going to take my finger like this and see, is it from here to here? Is it the same distance as from here to here? Can you see that? And it seems to be about that same distance. So you also can do that. Then I'm going to come down here and do the same thing here. Once again, I am not measuring this and putting it here because these are different sizes, but I am proportioning it the same way. When you really understand how profound this is, your mind will be blown. So you start with almost any subject getting the vertical distance. Right? Yep. So it doesn't matter if these are the same size. It really doesn't. And then I'm going to do the same thing again to get the halfway points between here and here. So to do that, I'm going to do well, let me start it here. So to do that, I'm going to do that. So I'm kind of guessing here. Am I right? Nope. Moving it up a little bit. 1, 2. Yep. 1, 2. Then I found my quarter points, and then I can just come down here, mark the last one, and check it. 2, 3, 4. And I can double check it by lining my pencil up with the top of each quarter point and my thumb with the bottom. 2, 3, 4. Can you see how that is helpful to you in drawing this subject? Can you? Yeah, if you can, tell me why. See if you can put words on it to tell you why. Tell me why. Anik, I saw you nodding.
It's easy to determine this way the simply the distances between the things
Right,
in the
like we can
subject.
see a little bit where this ends, right?
But at the
We
same time,
can,
hmm
yeah, we can use these points to help us figure out where other things are. Mind blowing, right? So
yeah.
fucking logical. So goddamn logical. The most logical process in the world. Nobody teaches themselves to draw this way.
And honestly
No.
saying,
You're starting to talk like Trump, the most logical thing in the world.
I feel very strongly about this subject. It is absolutely not something that we teach ourselves to do. And that is why I'm like, but I'm trying to emphasize logical process. Um, so, and then we use these to kind of measure everything else. Right. So once I've determined like my vertical distance, I'm going to use my vertical distance to determine how wide my cup is. A very simple line to draw would be to go from here to here, right? This is not quite the widest point, but it's at the halfway point, so it's easy to find. And the widest point comes out just a little bit wider, just out about to here. So how do I find that? And then I check it. Look at this. So I check the line. I take my pencil, I line it up, and I see, what do I see? Is anybody seeing a relationship here? What's the relationship of the vertical to the horizontal? MC, you've been quiet. I want you to tell me what you're seeing.
It's the same?
Yes, exactly. Can you see how that is helpful to you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Furthermore, I can use this quarter point to kind of check and see how far does the line go on this side versus this side.
Mm.
Because it's not halfway, right? So watch this. I'm going to check this. And I'm going to come here. So what do I know about this side, the right side of the cup from the vertical? How far is it? How wide is it?
Just over a quarter.
A little bit more than a quarter. Exactly. So I can come here. I can mark this distance, which is a little bit more than a quarter. Come here. I'm going to double check it. Sometimes when you, yeah, that's right. And then I know that the full distance is the same as this distance. So once I find this point, I come here, I grab the full distance, I go here, and that's where the handle is. Wazza! So amazing, right? It's amazing. This is how you draw anything proportionally. And I could make this twice the size. I could make it 3 times the size. I could make it 4 times the size. I could make it half the size. The thing that bugs people about this is that it's not, you can't like use numbers to measure it, right? It's a visual sighting, but also we're kind of, right? This is not the same as this. That's the thing that bugs. Does that make sense? Yeah, makes sense. All right. So once you've got that, um, let's see, what else? Oh, yes. Hold on. I need to set up my computer. I'll let you look at my coffee cup. If you know the answer to this question, I'm going to put this down for a second. Pop me up. Okay. Wait, move you over. Move you back here. Can you guys see this coffee cup easily now? All right. I'm laying my paintbrush somewhere on the mouth of the coffee cup. MC, am I putting it, does it look like I'm placing it closer or farther away from you?
You're gonna have help to move that little thing. He's gonna steal the brush.
Feel different. This is Bazoo.
And I assume he likes long things.
Such a cutie. MC, answer the question for me. Only because Anik knows the answer to this question, so you're the only one on the call who doesn't. So, where is this paintbrush on the mouth of the cup? Closer to us, further away?
I don't know.
Well, what does it look like?
It looks like there's a bigger opening towards us on the cup than on
Which means it would be further away, correct? So that means it would be further away from us, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
From
I'm gonna
our position. Yeah.
I'm gonna show you. Check it out. Where is it? Exactly halfway. Can you see
Yeah.
that? Yeah. I only do that because that is the mind boggle of perspective. And that's why you were confused because you know a little bit about drawing, don't you, MC? So you were like, wait a minute, I know what it Maybe. So when you see something that looks like that, here's the interesting thing. And this is why people struggle to draw the mouths of cups, because we draw each half as if they're equal and they look equal to us. But we can't actually do that when we're drawing a cup. That back half is actually moving away from us. And there are some rules, which we will talk about up here, right? About how that works. My very famous, I refer to it a lot. The idea, the most simple way of looking at this, right, is the road going away from us. We know logically, intellectually, we know in our left brain way that this is not actually bigger than this, right? It's not, but it looks bigger. We also know that this road is laying on the ground. It's not rising up. But we know that when we're showing it, right, as things move away from us, they get smaller and they angle up. So that is the same thing that's happening with the back of this cup. So you need to recognize there are two halves. I can see them both, but they don't look equal. And when I portray it, so let me show you how that works. This is a really neat. So the halfway point, let me draw this. Do this with orange. So the halfway point of this particular cup is about here. Can you see that? It's just, that's down a little bit. I'll use blue so you can see it better. Yeah. The halfway point, I can see because there's a turning that starts to happen back. And if I'm sketching it very simply here, right? This is a cup. This is how most people draw a cup or a muffin, right? That's how we think in our left brain the cup should look. The cup is flat on the ground. But in reality, this front part kind of comes out and this back part is a little bit more like this. It's more angled, it's narrower, and it stops. It's not as tall. And same with the bottom of the cup. We know that the bottom of the cup is sitting flat on the ground, but we're not just seeing the front of the cup, we're also seeing the sides of the cup. I think this is hard for people. So the sides of the cup, just like the sides of the road, are angling up and going. And they're getting narrower. So that's how we draw it that way, even though we know it's flat. That's what it looks like to us. Does anybody have questions about that? Is that confusing at all? Or does that answer a lot of questions that you all wondered about when you're trying to draw a cup? I have a kind of nice way to manage this handle, which I'll show you soon. So when we're starting to draw, starting to figure out kind of where things are, I like to mark bottom of the mouth. Right here's the top. Another sort of key thing to note here. I can check this length if I want to against here. It's like 2.5 quarters. It's about this tall. So I can go 1, 2, 2.5, and come about here. But notice also that this lines up a little bit before the edge of the cup. So the edge of the cup comes out a little bit wider. Check, are these the same? So a lot of what I do, what you're doing when you're drawing is kind of checking where things are in relation to other things. I can even sketch this in, sketch that in. And then even furthermore, I can kind of sketch, right, that narrow. And then this, so this really angles in. I'm going to draw these lines so you can really see these straight lines. I can angle it later, but these lines angle in. This side of the cup kind of comes out. It sort of rounds out a little bit and then comes down. This comes out enough. Maybe I can get, it's a slightly angled cup for you now because I've kind of firmed this up. Is this right? Yes. Because I firmed this up, I can kind of, it's slightly angled in. It's curved straight here. Slightly angled in, straight line, but kind of going a little bit. It's not going straight up and down. Right? So I'd love to see your cup at this stage. Get it to that stage and send it over to me. As I said, this is tedious at first, but if you find the outer edges, the width and the height of anything, and you kind of you establish your vertical distance, the way you want it, and you use that, then you use this line over and over again to help you measure other distances, then you're going to be pretty assured to get the right proportions, which is the hardest thing. So send it over the thread when you've got it. Sandra, Diana, what are you guys working on? Send it over.
Oh, but I have a dog. I'll send you where I'm at.
For a second, I
Yeah.
thought you said
A
I
cat
had a
and a
dog.
dog.
For a second, you
Very
thought I
good.
said what?
That you got a dog.
No, I'm being very, very cautious about this.
Good.
Also, I don't know what life is going to be like in America. If I need
That's
to live quickly, I don't want to have 4 animals.
Yeah.
I'm starting to feel good about the face of the cat, but for the eyes, I have to work on the eyes.
Okay.
But I haven't worked on those. But
And
I have to
proportions,
work.
and you're feeling good about proportions too of the
Yeah.
bodies? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like you kind of locked that in. Awesome.
Yeah. But the body needs more work to not look like he has a hole in his tummy.
Oh, Bubby.
Yeah.
Oh, Sandra,
Really, you think it's going well? I mean,
it's fucking amazing.
really?
Yes, it's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And I want to point out something here. I'm going to pop this up so everybody can see it. Oh, it's close to done in my view.
No, it's very far from done.
That is your decision, but it's wonderful.
I haven't
I want to
finished
point
the
out a
eyes
couple.
and-
Okay, when I look at it bigger, I can see a few things. I want to point out a couple of things that are
Yes,
just
please.
exceptional here. And really, what it says is that your mark making has become so nuanced.
Tell me
Like,
what's not
have-
acceptable as well, please.
All right, but let me show you what I like about
Okay.
it. I refuse to tell you what I don't like until I tell you all the things I do like. How's that?
Okay.
I love how you've built up your darks. Okay, so your darks are building up quite beautifully, particularly from the last time we saw this. I can see the painstaking process. Your drawing is nearly perfect. I think I see a couple of things. And do you remember when you were talking, Sandra, about this?
Yeah.
Right about it. What I want you to see is as you develop the dog, this becomes an amazing background, right? You don't need the detail, you don't need any more detail on this because we almost want it to fade into the background as we really focus on the dog. But it also, this much mark making, and with that little splash of kind of coffee colored um, watercolor here, it's so subtle that it really helps us put this dog in place, right? This shape really helps support how the dog is leaning, how it's moving towards you. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes, it's amazing. All right, so the first thing I see, this area needs to get darker and
Right.
almost disappear here, but I like how careful and cautious you're being. And if you can see, there's actually a dark kind of
Yeah.
like lost edge here.
I haven't finished the eyes yet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's all. Well,
Because
that's all I mean, that's what I would say is what I'm seeing. You maybe get a little bit darker in here because also this dark kind of pulls in here.
yeah, that's a bit I'm working on now because I'm a
Perfect.
Yeah.
photography.
But honestly,
Also, I
Sandra,
have one. Yeah, it's beautiful. I have one thing too.
yeah,
The
Mhm.
top of the head. The top of the
yeah,
head.
absolutely. You're right. You
What
need to,
about the top of the head needs to go darker or what? Or lighter or what?
No, it doesn't have any fur going up and it
it's a
maybe
smoother
by the
edge
ears.
than you
A
think.
Okay.
smooth edge. It's a smooth round edge there.
But
Okay.
Sandra,
I
it's
think.
absolutely exceptional so
Yeah.
far. I want you to
Thank
know
you.
90% done.
I'm not very confident about it, but we will see. I mean, I'm thinking it was a
Oh,
hard one.
and now I'm looking at Diana's face. Oh my God, you got his little muggy face. His cute little slightly. Oh, that's fantastic.
And
Okay,
clear.
MC. I'm going to show you. Your mind did something to you here. I'm going to show you what it is. So there are two things about this. And I want to show you how crazy the left brain is. Can we see, MT, can you see your drawing? Can we see your drawing? Here, wait, I'm going to stop and start the share again, just to make sure. Sometimes the left brain will flip what is actually happening. So you did a round shape like a barrel. And that's not at all what's happening with this cup. I'm going to show you. But it's okay. It's really normal. I guess what I want to say is it's a very normal thing to actually flip the direction that the lines are going. So I want to catch you in it to show you how this is working. Here, hold on. Share. Do you see what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yep. So instead, also, I believe this needs to be a little bit wider. I'm checking it right now. Hold on, I'm checking it with my fingers. Oh yeah, this line here actually has to come up to here. It's like 2.5 quarters. And you have it at 2 quarters. So that's part of the problem that you're having is that this is too small. So really what you need to do, I'm going to show you on your, hold on, I'm going to show you on the demo here so you can see. So the reason that you're struggling is that this is too small. So you did this, you stopped it, right? Right here. So now you can't go angled down, right? Because you're not wide enough. This should be extending a little bit farther this should be extending a little farther than this line so that you can make that angle straight down. That makes sense? Otherwise, it looks pretty good. Great job, everybody. So that's where the brain kind of gets in our way. And that's one of those relational things. You realize, oh, I can't make that line go like this if it's too short. I have to go like that. And then that's not the shape, which tells me that I need to scooch out a little bit. And the other thing to know is that just a couple millimeters can make a massive difference on a piece of paper or on a canvas. It really will make things look in proportion or out of proportion very quickly. So it's easy to draw outside the lines or too narrow. Diana saw me. I'm going to show you guys how to manage the handle. I just want to see you fix it. Anik, I want to see yours unless you're not working on that, on this. I'm going to show you the easiest way to manage the handle, which it took me only half of Tuesday's class to figure out. So lucky you. Poor unlucky Tuesday. They had to get you sort of struggle through with, we had to struggle through together till I figured it out. Notice that sometimes when we also, this is a left brain response, that we sometimes move to more methodical measurements. This measurement, this distance here, it's not quite it's not really easy. It's not an easy one like quarters. It's kind of somewhere in the middle between 2 and 3. So you have to sort of assess, you have to sort of judge that distance, which feels uncomfortable, but is the way kind of forward. You'll get more used to it because basically what you're doing is you're kind of comparing this and how it looks here to how it looks here. This is a different size than this. So I can't use this to measure this. I have to work with this line. Let's see, checking. 1. Yep. 3. It feels thin to me. Yep, you did the same thing MC did. Oh, much better, MC, much better. Much better. Don't forget, MC. So hold on. I'm gonna show you Anik what she did, which is the same thing you did. It looks too narrow, right, Anik? Right.
Yeah.
That's because the mouth isn't wide enough. You made the mouth this wide. It's actually about this wide. Okay. And MC, the thing you forgot about, here, hold on. It's okay. It's a lot of information. I'm not trying to mess with anybody here. We're all actually making the same mistakes. What's happening here? See, this is flat. This is flat on the ground. So so what you've done here, and I'm going to show you again. So now it's a little bit narrow at the bottom. Here. What you've done, and I will show you on mine, is this. You did that. See that? You forgot there's a side that goes up. This is what you did. Do you see this? I'm doing it in dotted lines. It's just straight across. In reality, the bottom of the cup is straight here, and then it goes up on the side. So your cup will end up being a little bit wider. because you made your base too narrow. And if you want to check that, you can check that here. You can look and see how wide is that? Ah, now this measurement is exactly 2/4. So you can check yours and see, is that also? See, those are the things we use. We continue to go back to everything is relative. But really, MC, what happened is you just forgot that there's a side of the cup we see and it's turning up and away. In reality, what's happening is something like this. These are different sides, so they're going to meet somewhere at a vanishing point. So this kind of comes down a little bit and this goes up. That's what's really happening. But I'm not going to muck with your head on that. This is a lot of information. And I found introducing too many perspective concepts at once can really blow your brain up. We don't want to blow your brains up. We need your brains fully functioning. Sandra, I feel like particularly when you have a painting of an animal who has died or an animal who is greatly loved, your paintings are exceptionally emotional, as well as I feel emotion when I look at that piece. It's very there's a very loving element added to that.
Well, I'm
And
trying
I
very
want to
hard
say, oh,
because
there you
this was
go.
because this was a very beloved dog. So
Yeah,
and
it's
actually,
amazing.
one of my previous portraits died 2 nights ago. The dog who had cancer,
Mm-hmm.
where I painted. I'll show you which one. It actually recovered from cancer, but I guess it died of old age. Oh, that one.
I can't see. Sorry, hold on. Oh, yes, that one was so good. Here, she's showing this one. It's not just exceptional, it's exceptional.
So I'm very sorry, but in fact, that's why I woke up so late, because I was trying to talk to
Oh,
owners during the night.
so sorry.
No, it's okay. That's okay. I'm glad I did a portrait. Otherwise, I would do it now, but it's better to have it done.
Right. All right. Let us talk about the handle. Okay. This handle is a bear. It is. Hold on a second. I just heard a meowing. I'll be right back. I'll be
You've
right
been
back. I just
summoned.
heard a meowing noise. My cats are running around outside. Okay. It was not a meowing noise. It was a baby child. Just double checking. All right. So let's look at this for a second. I really struggled with this. We all did on this side until I figured out this. The first thing we're going to do is locate this point and this point. And then we're going to locate this point and this point. So these 2 points represent the top and the bottom of the top of the handle and the top and the bottom of the handle. So the easiest one to find is right here, because it's right here at the edge. It's here. And then it lines up a little bit higher than here. And what you'll probably find is that that's much thicker than you think it would be. But this is key. Oh, what the hell are you doing? No, Bazoo. No, no, no. Oh, God, you almost swallowed a whole plastic. I'm sorry, my animals are acting up today. And it's the same here, right? I can see that this comes down to about here. and that it comes up a little bit higher than here. Do you see that? So I start with these marks, and then the next thing I do is just to connect the dots. I draw that inside shape, starting here. Oh, and I can even mark it. It comes in about here. So I can do this. I can go up. I can go over. I can go down. And then I can angle this way. So I start by locating the lid handles, and then I start with, this is what we call the negative space on the cup. And then because I have the end mark here, I can get the other side too. I can go like that on this side. This might come in just a little bit. As I put that line in, I realize maybe my line's a little bit too far out. So you see how I'm kind of adjusting it? Yeah, that's better. This comes up like this. And I want you to notice that although it's curved, I'm actually breaking it down into straight lines that intersect. Because trying to draw that curve, so I can do that here too. I can narrow out that curve later because curved lines are really hard to draw. All right, once you've got this, we're going to redraw it on our watercolor paper. So the last things are a little rim here, which was going to be white. And we'll draw in, down and in the shape of the lid here. Notice that the handle comes into, actually into inside the cup edge. It doesn't stop here. We can see this handle. There's a shadow here. And then there's lighter shadows. I can start erasing my lines. There's like a shadow here. And then there's a shadow here that gets gradually darker. And then there's a light reflected edge here. That reflected edge means that if we were to talk about values, right, the lightness or darkness of any color, if 1 is light and 5 is very dark, 2, 3, and 4 get gradually darker. There's a kind of shifting difference. So while this is a 1 and this might be a 5, this is 2, this is 3, and then this little reflected edge is 2. This is 1, this is 1, this is 3. We've got a cast shadow here. That's very dark. It's 5. And then we also have shadows. This is like 3. Yeah, 3, 2, 1, 2. I'll send this over to you so you can see it. Let me send it a close-up so you guys can see it. So go ahead and finish your drawing on your paper. I'd like to see it. And then we're going to redraw it on our paper. I'm going to turn this off for just a second, and then I'll get you a picture, a close-up. One of the things I like to think about with proportions and perspective is that things are not, I just tell myself this is not what I think it should be, right? It's bigger. As things go away, they get smaller and angle up. As things like, the handle is bigger than I think it is, intellectually wider, which makes it kind of thicker here and in here. You kind of talk yourself into seeing things, I don't know, a little bit more, breaking things into component parts that don't seem logical to the left brain. The left brain likes to think of a handle as one thing, but really the handle, if you think about it from a perspective, is broken up into several pieces. It's wider here, it's narrower here, right? These two halves are equal in size, but they don't look it. That's so I have to draw it that way, right? How it looks, because I'm working on a flat surface and all I really have is, so kind of understanding those rules is really, and this concept of construction where you're checking everything against this initial measurement that you make against all the other things. The second time you do this drawing, it's going to be a lot easier. I promise. And we will still have time to paint it. When you think you've got it, send it over. Let's see. One, two. I'm checking. Good, Anik. Looks pretty good to me. Oh, you've done it right on your watercolor. You'll have to wait for everybody else to catch up. Get rid of your extra lines, right? And
Yes.
yes. And I'm gonna make and get in your lights and your darks here. Get in all your lights and darks. So now you'll be looking at this.
Yeah.
Right, where things go from light
Mm-hmm.
to really, it kind of, I'm gonna say the transition really starts here. It's light except for this,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's kind of goes from medium to dark. We're kind of ignoring this extra reflection right now.
Mm-hmm.
That's just because I have a kind of imperfect setup to shoot my still lifes. Notice that it's kind of dark here on the rim here.
Yep.
And then we kind of lose the light edge here. And there's kind of a medium. You may have to adjust the mouth of your cup too. So we'll work on that. Let's see. Believe it or not, MC, you need to make this twice the size that you made it. So it should be, you have yours. I would, here, I'm going to share, I'm going to show you where this starts and ends. The top looks okay. The bottom is a little too narrow.
Don't drink it.
I'll show you. Here, hold on. Easier to point. This this should start, it should go up to here. See where my pointer is? This. So all you really have to do is just draw a line to here, from here to here. And then this looks pretty good. And then I'm going to have you redraw it on watercolor paper.
Do you have an idea?
It was much faster the second time. Nice work. It was manageable, wasn't it? Actually doable to manage that handle. Otherwise, people are just guessing and we're never right. Like no one's ever right when you're trying to guess on this kind of stuff. You have to measure. Otherwise, it just doesn't work. Our brain stops being able to perceive what's actually happening on shapes like this. Unless you get really, really good at drawing, after a while it becomes kind of natural, but no one, and very few people are at that level, at least to begin with. I'm going to do the same thing kind of again here. I'm going to lightly draw my lines so I can more easily erase them. And the other thing to know about this is that you can be doing great and really improving. And then the next lesson, you'll be like totally discombobulated again. That is really normal in a learning curve like this. Even I and Diana and people who've been doing this a long time, really, sometimes we're on and sometimes we're off. That is a really legitimate.
Yeah, see how I had the proportions all wrong with the kitty first?
Well, yeah, because it's so hard, right? It's like that's not an easy angle. And just some days we're in it and some days we aren't. It's just a funny thing that way. Oh. Here's what's interesting. I almost went off the paper. But isn't it great that I figured this out now and not when I was 3/4 of the way through my drawing? I'll make it. But that's the other advantage of this. I could do two things. I could scoot it over if I wanted to. I could scoot it over. I could scoot this line over. I could make this line a little shorter and redraw these. But then that helps me kind of understand. We're here. That. You're going to find this goes much easier, as I said, the second time around. Which is why those of us who are new to this, I'm having to do it twice. Because we don't really do much drawing practice in this class, and it's super necessary, but hard. Double checking this. Yep, I'm constantly double checking my measurements. Once again.
Oops.
Goodness. Bazoo just really wants to come and say hello to you guys today. I don't know what's going on, but
Oh, I
we're
saw him earlier on the chair.
yes.
Hello, Bazoo. Hello.
Isn't he cute? He does
Are you
this
having
little
a good morning?
thing. He waves his head around like, hi, just to make sure you're looking at him. He's in love with my boyfriend. And so wherever my boyfriend goes, his head just whips around. I'm like,
It's a fire.
So he's a man's cat.
yes, he does. And he likes his mama too, but
Clearly.
yes. And because he's feral, he ends up making the most fascinating cat noises to talk
Oh, I
about.
love those different
They're
noises.
not
Strangles also the
exactly
strange
right.
noises.
They're not exactly meows, but it's like brr, brr. He makes a lot of like chirps and
Chirps,
tweets.
that's it. They chirp a lot, and the lion speaks like a penguin with his mouth closed,
He does.
like an
Oh
emperor
my
penguin.
God, that's what it is. Oh my God. I was trying to figure out what it was. Remember, this goes in here. Oh, hello. He's standing up on the drawing table. You're such a little weirdo. I love you.
We love weird kitties.
We do love our kitties. Oh, no, 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 no. Paint on here. Right. Once I've got those lines in, I erase these. I want to get as many of these out as possible. And I want you to take your time with this. I'm going to demo in a little bit. Uh, how to mix colors. But I don't want anybody to rush through this. We still have like almost an hour, believe it or not. And the painting on this doesn't take very long.
Feels like the painting on this is never done.
Sometimes that's the way it is. Totally true. In about 5 minutes, I'll have you stop what you're doing wherever you're at in the process, and I'll demonstrate the next. But let me finish my drawing too. See how I can kind of smooth out my rounded edges once I get them in place. The reason is curved lines are really hard to draw without overdrawing them. All right, I'll be ready to go in a bit, but I'm not rushing you. Nobody's rushing. Uh, Once you've got all this in, give me 2 more minutes, Anik, and then we'll then I'll stop and I'll demonstrate what you need to do next. MC, I don't want you to rush this process. So don't feel like you have to be caught up. Okay. Stop for a minute and talk about color mixing. I'm going to give you options. Actually, I'm going to start with the mix that I think will make Ani the most happy in this class. And MC, if you do not have these colors, okay. I will give you other colors that can make the same mix. So if you're looking at this, and you see I just turned my test paper over where I drew my cup, and I'm using it for testing. Really what we need is a gray. There are a couple of ways to get it, but I think one of the nicest grays is Viridian Green and Alizarin Crimson. Do you have those colors? Viridian Green, Alizarin Crimson. So take a look here. From my past. When you're mixing a gray from these colors, and I'm mixing this gray because red and green are complementary colors, which means when I mix them together, I get a kind of neutralized version. And when I mix these dark colors, Viridian Green is this kind of rich, here, I'm going to push this down even further so you can really see the mixing. It looks kind of bright here, but look what happens when I add alizarin crimson to it. I get a gray. And if I want to lighten it, here, if I want to lighten it, I get I get the paint on my brush, I dip the brush in water, and then I can do a lighter version. And this looks a little bit green, so I'm just going to grab a little bit more red in and mix it in. That looks a little bit more neutral gray. More water will make this lighter. So go ahead and show me your gray on your testing paper. If you don't have these colors, tell me and I'll show you something else. I'll tell you other colors we can use. But this is a beautiful gray. If your mix looks too green when you test it, you need to put more red in it. If it looks more red, you need to put more green in it. It might take you a while to kind of get it exactly where you want it. Me too. Show it to me lighter, Anik. I think it looks good, but it looks a slightly reddish, so I want to see it with a little more water. Same mix. I knew you'd like this one. Let's see. Ooh, nice. Yep, that's beautiful. All right.
It's in my case, it's actually emerald green and
Yeah,
and
that's fine. That's similar.
olivine.
Similar enough. All right, so I've got a little bit of this on here. I'm going to go to the darkest areas first. I'm mixing a little bit more. Oh, look at how red that is. I got to get a lot more green in there. There we go. A little bit more red. A little bit more green. All right. So I'm going to go to the darkest area first on this. Oh, MC, beautiful. Gorgeous greens. Gorgeous greens. All right. So now I'm going to go back up a little bit. I'm keeping my testing paper. I'm going to go actually to the darkest areas first with a kind of lightened wash. I dipped my brush once in water after I got it full with paint. And I'm getting this cast shadow. And I'm getting this. I forgot to draw the pencil lines for this. I think I can. And I'm going, what do you call it? Dry, wet on dry. Okay. So I'm getting this and this. I'm only doing these because they are got a little bit crazy here. So I'm no. And notice, because I've done this, my initial layer is going to look a little splotchy. I'm going to need to go back over it. Now, I'm going to water down my paint. So I've got paint, water, very, very light. Yep. I'm going to go here. Notice I'm doing kind of a side horizontal stroke. And then I'm getting a little more paint on my brush, not too much more. I'm still going to lighten it. And still going wet on dry. I'm making this a little darker, and I'm trying to soften in the edge between the light and the medium. I sort of have it. I'm probably going to have to do another layer. Notice it's much light. This is much lighter than that. I can use this same light color to get in here, darker, and this same light color to get in here. So what we're really trying to maintain here is a light to medium to dark transition without a hard edge. And I'm going to go on the light side. I'm going to err on the side of light. Because I can always make things darker, but I can't make things lighter. Okay. And then while I'm waiting for this to dry, here's where it starts to get fun. I'm going to pick any color. Let's try quinacridone red. Very saturated. And actually, before I get too into this, I'm probably going to do this background as a wet on wet. So first, I'll get wet, slightly pink tinted, but mostly light. I'm wetting because it's a big area and I want it to be kind of smooth. I'm wetting everything that's not the cup that's about here where my mark is. And then I'm going to go back in. With paint, any color. Obviously, this is blue. You can use blue if you want, but honestly, you can make it any color you want to. But you want the paint to be pretty saturated. So you notice I'm not, once I dip my brush in the water and drip it in the paint, I'm not going back. Also, as I get these little beads, I'm kind of pushing them around so it's narrower. I'm moving it around in the already wet paper. And you'll do the same thing with the bottom. And then you'll go back into your cup for a second time and try and get some more layers. So hold on, I will. I want to get rid of this guy. I want to get rid of this extra little bead, so I'm going to either push it around. I'm trying to get rid of the extra beads. I'm trying to do a kind of smooth background, which means I need to go wet on wet. Let's see where everybody is on this. Is this your watercolor drawing, MC?
Yeah.
Much better. I'm just gonna tell you, you still don't quite have, this is still way too flat. You need to bend this up a little bit more. You see how mine's going? This is how yours is going,
Yeah.
like this. Mine is going up at an angle, straight and up. So straighten that. So that from here to about here, it should be. So it should stop before the bottom here and go more at an angle, down, across, and up on the other side. This is a hard thing to see, but the handle looks great. Excellent job, particularly compared to the one that you just did. It's excellent. You did great. And I'm happy to review any of this mark making with again, because I know you were working on the drawing. So don't worry about that. I will go over it again when we get to the painting part.
Paint is drying up, so if I can't do much more, I might have a little.
You're gonna have to go and cook breakfast for the boys.
I'm gonna go soon. I'm gonna go when my paint is totally finished.
Got it.
I'm not gonna refill, and I'm still painting with the paint from Sunday. So it's starting to get dry. I'm gonna work a little bit more on the background. The cat still needs a bunch more.
I like where you're going with it though.
I worked a little bit more on the tree. Now I'm gonna work on the leaves, I think. I'm gonna send where I'm at.
Excellent. I feel like we need a little bit better, MC. Better. Oh, sorry. Hold on. I'm looking at your first one. Yes, that's better. Go ahead and add in your lights. Yeah. I feel like he needs this painting needs one or two bright color pops. And I wonder if this is the moment, like really brighten, because everything's, and there's these great neutrals here, but let me pop this up here and I'll show you what I mean. Let's see. Hold on. I'm gonna look at Onyx first and then I'll. Nice, Onyx. Nice. So now just kind of, it's a little heavy. I like the transition here. Push. You might even just want to go over with a little bit of darker paint here. Here, I'll show you. I'm going to mix a little bit more. And then, Diana, I'm going to show you something about your kitty.
Okay.
You might want to go over this edge a little. See this darker edge like this, the way
Yeah.
I'm doing here, because it's a little bit hard right now.
This hard. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. I want it to look a little bit softer. But I also want to make sure this doesn't get as dark as that. So then we'll go back in here and really push that dark,
Yeah.
right? This dark has to get a lot darker.
Mhm.
And here.
Mhm.
Yeah. I wish I had erased this line here. I didn't.
Which line?
This pencil line right here.
Yeah, pencil lines.
Yeah, you want to get
If
rid
it
of
had
them.
been a paint line, you could have rubbed it off. But
Yeah. So that's a thing you want to keep in mind. It's okay.
it's a problem. I mean, I guess the thing to do is to use maybe watercolor pencil, because you need the lines to know where to paint. But it's true, once you paint it on top of them,
Yeah.
they
Yeah,
don't
that might
disappear.
work. That might work. That's not a bad idea. This, because this was still wet and this was still wet, you can see how it's bleeding off a little bit. So I need to really wait till this dries to do that final fix. Right. So Diana, this is what I was going to suggest. I'm going to pop it up a little bit. I feel like this paint needs a few brights. Strangely, not really on the
I
cat
don't
right
think
now.
you haven't popped it up, so I
I
can't
know,
see.
I'm going to do it. Hold on.
What you need to do, Diana, is glaze it.
No. Oh my God, this is the first time that's not what I'm telling her what to do. That's awesome. Actually, I was feeling like this is not bright enough.
Yeah.
I like the mark making, but I think you should brighten like this one and a couple of the
Okay.
leaves that are
Yeah, the
sticking
leaves
kind of
I
this
want to
direction.
work on.
Work
Yeah.
on the background a little bit to get a little bit of bright color. And then you're going to add a few bright highlights onto him as well. But I think getting them here will start to help you figure out where to put them everywhere else.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I was working on the stems there in the background.
Yeah.
But yeah, but you're right.
Place it. I have nothing more to teach you. MC, we're laughing because for the last 5 years, basically every single time I have a suggestion for Diana, which is not often, is it's often glaze it purple. So and this may be the first time that's not what I was telling you to do.
Amazing.
How's everybody doing?
Okay.
You okay there in the breach, Sandra? I think about you every day.
Oh my God, well, when you stop recording, I'll say more. But
Okay. Actually, I bet I can. Recording.
thanks, guys.
Yeah, we've got about 12 minutes left, 13 minutes left. Anybody want to go later?
I can't, I'm working.
Oh, okay. And I know Diana has to stop, so we'll probably just stop at, although if Anik or MC wants to stay later, I'll just transfer host over to you. In the meantime,
I've been painting for more than 6 hours today already.
Oh, really?
you have the day off?
I had a day off. I did myself a Valentine's Day for myself, and
Oh,
I was
Oh, well
painting.
done.
I really wanted to finish this green one.
You did it.
Yeah, finally. I mean, I see that there's a one tiny correction that I could do, but it's 99% done, so I'm happy.
Leave it.
Anik, my goal is to get to the Gdansk one day because I have got to meet you in person.
My goal is also to visit Seattle if the world will not get mad any further, or get
Yes.
back on the right track one day.
What a great gift to give yourself. What a beautiful
So,
gift.
so on the way, if I'm ever there, I'm gonna drop by Portland, especially as my husband wants
Yes,
to
you will. We have
try
anybody who
all the tastes.
Everybody has places to stay. Well, I couldn't talk
Yes.
about it,
You'll
but I
have to do
have
the whole
places
East
to stay.
Coast, West Coast.
Yep.
By the way, Diana, are you affected by these floods and mudslides?
No.
Okay, good. I couldn't believe when I saw that yesterday.
From one thing to the next. I know.
Yeah, but it's after fire comes the mudslides if it rains.
Well, yeah, because the trees are no longer there
yeah.
to help.
Had it come the other way around, it wouldn't have been disastrous fires if the
Right.
rain
What a
came
shame.
first, and there wouldn't have been mudslides.
Right.
No, as Trump said, it's the fault of California.
Yeah.
Crazy. Oh, lovely. Ani, great.
Thank you.
Great. Love it. Do you feel like you learned something off this? Beautiful edges.
No,
Are you
I
proud of this?
really, there are two things that I hate painting the most, for now at least. Mugs and clouds.
Oh, clouds were so hard that I never painted acrylic again after we did the introduction clouds.
Yeah,
Okay,
they're
so
just- they're not
MC, I
nightmare,
want
nightmare.
you to you're getting there. I want you to don't forget to add in your pink in the background, right? And I see you're kind of a little in danger of losing your cup edge, so you may want to redraw. Hold on, I'm going to pop this up so I can show you. I'm going to pop this up on Zoom and then I'm going to demonstrate for you what I want you to do with your shaded edges. Your color mixing is great. Absolutely great. Um, I mean, obviously, right? when you paint pink, I would redraw this edge in so that you don't paint it pink and paint that pink. This is what we call a very hard edge. So I'm going to have you go over with water to soften it, but let me show you how that works first. Oh, you did it. Sorry. As I was yammering, you just totally did it. Okay, so let me show you about hard and soft edges in watercolor. If I paint in something that looks like this, like you did, that's too hard an edge. So while it's still wet, I'm kind of ruffling it. I'm going up and down so that it's a little softer. Same here. So what I would suggest is you get your brush wet with water and come here and try to soften that edge a little bit. I'm doing a little quick horizontal stroke so that I don't have that hard edge. I'll draw it in again so you can see it on the light side, right? So here it is, light. That's too hard an edge. Soften it, I'm pushing it. And you want to be careful not to get too much into your light side. So I'm also kind of wiping off on the left here so I don't have too much. It's a soft edge, and it's the same in between here, here and here. There should be a medium and then a darker. This dark is not as dark as that one. This dark is like a 3. This one's a 5. So see how I'm kind of pushing horizontally across? This is a hard edge. We need it here. But this is not a hard edge because it's a rounded object, so it's a softer. Good job.
Leah, I'm sending you one last photo. This time I'm sending you the iPad as opposed to my bad print.
Okay.
I can see things that are wrong already. Hold on.
I think you've done a great job with that dog.
Really?
It was a very difficult dog. I feel like it's the hardest dog I've done.
But it's amazing how your skill level is just whoosh.
Exactly.
You're like every single one of these you do now, Sandra, it's like you shoot further up like a rocket.
Oh, thank you.
I agree.
What's happening is your problem solving is now becoming kind of internalized. So yes, it's a lot of work, but you're learning to do it.
I think it's because he has got long hair and he's black, which is not black.
Yeah, and I'm lucky to work in acrylic. I could never do what you're doing in watercolor.
It's very hard.
I'm also doing black, but I can go over and over and over.
Yeah, I know. It's super challenging. You've taught yourself to use watercolor in a really it's
interesting because I don't think I'm using proper techniques, but I'm getting results, so I'm okay.
You're getting results and you're learning. In a way, Sandra, technique is going to help you later in the game. Because now you have the experience. What you do is you have a understanding. Oh, I have trouble with this kind of edge. So then you start you know what to look for, right?
Yeah, that's
Like,
true. I haven't done a lot of studying recently.
but you do when you need to. You just do as you need it to. So it's a very good, it's an excellent, it's just an amazing trajectory you've made. You should really be proud of yourself. I'm proud of you.
Oh, thank you. I hope his dog is acceptable because I don't feel like doing it again, but I would love
Oh, the
to
dog is acceptable.
send it to her. It's a dog, it's a French dog actually. He lives in France. But my friend is British. She joined Reuters at the same time I
Yeah,
did.
yeah, Sandra, it's just amazing. You got it.
You think it's okay?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
More than
I
okay.
wouldn't mess with it anymore. This is gonna
Really?
make a, this is what I predict.
Oh, something happened at the bottom, but you're not supposed to be there.
I predict tears.
Oh, well, I wouldn't be there to see
Of
them.
course.
I predict tears. That's what I predict. I predict that the person's going to look at this painting and burst into tears. That's what I predict.
Something green happened at the bottom right inside it. What I was going to say, do I put a stamp on it? Or not?
Oh, yeah, where?
Well, I don't know. That's what I'm asking.
Let me see.
Diana's
Can you put it in on the screen?
Yeah, hold on. Let me do that. Hold on, I'm doing it right now.
It has to be at the top.
I thought, what about down by his
right?
paw? Is there room for his, is there room here? There isn't really room, is there?
I don't think so. Maybe
No,
right?
no.
Where?
I would put it in the top right corner or
Here?
possibly the left.
Let me show you. Let me show you. Can you show me, Leah? Can you spotlight me?
Pop you up? Yeah, hold on a second. Hold it up. Yes.
Okay.
Oh my God, you have a little.
Oh my God.
That's
Okay,
actually very good idea.
I think it's going to work better in the other.
Yeah.
Yes, it balances the composition very nicely.
Exactly.
On the left side.
Top left, right? Okay.
Top right.
Top right.
Top right. Because the bottom left, the dog kind of
Sorry, because I'm a bit muddled the way. Like this, you mean?
Yeah,
there.
Okay, thank you.
Because here I'm going to remove this.
I need to finish the eyes though.
Because the bottom left has a lot of, like, there's light on the top and the bottom, but the bottom left is this, you want a kind of direction, right? And if you put, the bottom left is very heavy with the paws, the two paws and
right
thing. So this balance creates a kind of an arrow that goes zoop, a diagonal across.
Yeah.
If you put it on the left, it kind of overloads what's happening on the left.
Yeah.
And you notice that. Yeah, very nice.
Well, I didn't really get into working the leaves, but I worked a little bit on the stem. Well, actually, I did work on the leaves a little bit.
Let me see.
I haven't worked on the greens.
OMC, that's looking great. Good job. Better. You're getting there. Oh, yeah, that helps a lot, Diana. See how we need these little brights just sort of give us an idea of sunlight.
It's a little balance.
Yeah, it's a little bit more balanced. Nice job, MC. Good job. This is a great one. There was a lot of learning in this lesson. A lot of learning, right? Almost with this lesson, it's interesting. It's almost not the final result we care about as much as the application, the practice. And did you notice how much better you got on the second cup than the first one? How much quicker, how much easier that was, right? So our next lessons will all be kind of, well, it just depends on what we do. But if the drawing's easy, I won't focus on that as much. But like our next lessons are really going to be kind of maintaining both those ideas. I'm thinking we have, let's see, we have 6, actually, we have like 5 or 6 lessons left before we move on to nature scenes. So I'll have to think about what to do.
Nature scenes, does that include animals?
No, we'll do a separate animal unit.
Okay. So it's more like landscapes, you mean? No?
Landscapes and seascapes and things like that. Yeah. All right, you guys. I
Yeah,
think great
thank
work
you.
happened
There you go.
today. Does anybody want to hang around?
No, I can't.
No, I
All
can
right.
outside.
And everyone, great work today. Remarkable, marvelous as always. And I'll see you next week.
See you next
Thank you very
week.
much,
Thank
Leah.
you.
Always fun.
Bye.
Yeah,
Yes, it's
See
so
you
fun.
see you
Sunday.
guys
Thank you.
tomorrow.
Yes. Take
Bye.
care.